ever catch yourself like really thinking about the news you watch or those articles you skim online?
Yeah.
It's like we all know on some level that this stuff shapes how we see the world,
Right.
but who has time to really unpack how it all works, you know?
It's true. We use the term media effects all the time,
Right. Media
as if
external.
it's some external force.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly where this deep dive, it takes us way beyond that.
Okay.
We're going deep, deep into ideology.
Oh,
Those beliefs we have deep down about how the world works.
Right.
And how those are already baked into the media we consume.
Every single day.
Every day, yeah.
So to guide us on this journey, and I'll admit it's a bit of a brain twister, but a fascinating one.
Yeah.
We're looking at this paper,
Yep.
The Rediscovery of Ideology, subtitle, Return of the Repressed in Media Studies.
Catchy.
It's a mouthful, I know.
It is.
It's a dense read, be warned, but stick with us.
You'll be glad you did.
It's going to change how you see, like, everything.
It will. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to start noticing things you never did before.
Okay, so jump right in. What's this paper all about?
Well, it starts by tackling this old idea, this concept of pluralism.
Pluralism.
The idea was, especially back in the day, think post-World War II America.
Right.
This belief that the media, it was like this perfectly neutral mirror.
Oh,
It was reflecting back all the different viewpoints, the diversity of opinions in society.
so everyone's reading the same newspaper, watching the same newscast.
Exactly.
But miraculously, everyone's coming away with their own totally unique takeaway.
Yeah, like magic, right.
But here's the thing. Did everyone really have an equal voice back then?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right. Was the media really this neutral playing field?
Well, that's where this simplistic effects model.
Like, idea A causes belief B kind of thing.
Exactly, like a straight line.
Yeah.
It couldn't explain everything.
Like what?
Well, why do subcultures exist?
Hmm.
Why do some folks, they just don't fit the mold?
Right, they deviate.
And who gets to decide,
Who gets to say what's normal?
what that norm even is in the first place?
Right, because what's normal to one group.
Could be totally outrageous to another.
And the paper uses this example, I found it so interesting, about alcohol and cannabis.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Like two substances, but such different treatment.
Huge difference, right?
Why is that?
Well, the paper argues it's not about some inherent truth.
Okay.
It's about social construction.
Our perceptions.
Our views, they're shaped by so many things.
Not just the facts.
Not just the facts, no.
Yeah?
Think about it.
Okay.
Alcohol, it can be harmful, we know that,
Right.
but it's widely accepted, even celebrated.
Part of the culture.
Exactly. But then you have cannabis.
Which, let's be real, some studies say it's, what, less harmful?
Potentially, yeah.
But look how it's treated.
Demonized.
Reality.
Totally different standard.
It really makes you think, right?
It does.
What we consider normal, deviant.
Right, right.
It's not always so clear-cut.
Not at all.
And that takes us to, and I know this sounds like a jargony term, but it's crucial,
Hit me with it.
signification.
Ah, yes.
Signification.
Well-
What's that all about?
In a nutshell, it means it's not just about what's being shown in the media.
Okay.
It's about how it's shown, what it's made to mean.
Meaning is constructed.
Exactly. It's about the language being used,
Sure.
the way things are framed,
How it's all packaged up.
and how certain viewpoints, they're subtly presented as
Like the right way to see things.
the natural way, the common sense way.
It's like a magic trick.
It really is.
You're watching the news, scrolling through your feed, you think you're getting the straight story.
Yeah, just the facts.
But behind the scenes,
It's
or
a whole production.
someone's carefully crafting that reality.
A whole lot of someone's, actually.
That's kind of unnerving when you think about it.
It can be, yeah.
So, give me an example. How does this play out in the real world?
Well, the paper gives this example of, say, industrial disputes.
Strikes and stuff.
Exactly. Strikes, lockout.
Workers fighting for their rights.
Right. And how often they're framed in the media
Go on.
as being, get this, against the national interest.
Oh, wow.
See how that works?
Subtle but powerful.
Very powerful.
So it's implying the workers are the bad guys.
Well, at least not on the right side.
Even unpatriotic for wanting better conditions.
Exactly. And that framing, those little word choices, they have a huge impact.
They do.
They shape how we view the whole issue of workers' rights.
It's not censorship, it's subtler.
Exactly. It's about influencing opinion, but not so directly.
Okay, so if we're being steered in a certain direction
Subtly nudged, let's say.
by these these unseen forces.
The puppet masters of meaning, haha.
Okay, but seriously, how do we break free?
That's the million-dollar question.
How do we even spot these carefully constructed narratives when they're so subtle?
That's where we have to understand this idea of the reality effect. So the reality effect, it's about how media, even when it's telling us stories, right?
Which, let's face it, most media is, right? It's telling us some kind of story.
Exactly. Even the news, it's still a constructed narrative.
Okay, so how does this reality effect work then?
It's about how those stories, they can trick our minds.
Trick our minds.
Yeah, into thinking this is just how it is.
We mistake it for objective truth.
Exactly. We forget it's a construction and we just accept it.
Because it feels real.
Exactly. It's like that feeling you get
Let's go on.
when you're watching like a really intense movie.
I know exactly what you mean.
You get so caught up in it, right?
Totally.
Even though logically,
It's not real life. It's just, actors on a screen.
exactly. But for that hour, 2 hours, you're totally sucked in.
Suspend your disbelief.
Exactly. And the paper, it makes this fascinating connection
Okay.
between this reality effect
Yeah.
and the very nature of television itself.
Ooh, interesting. Because TV just feels more real.
Think about it, the immediacy of it.
Right. It's right there in your face.
Exactly. Those moving images beamed right into your living room.
It's like I'm seeing it with my own eyes. It must be true.
Right. That's the trick, though, isn't it?
So we fall for it.
We might think we're seeing reality raw and unfiltered.
But really, it's biz.
Filtered through a lens, edited, packaged, presented,
Someone else's reality, basically.
or a carefully constructed version of it, at least.
This is blowing my mind. It's a lot to take in, I know.
Makes me wonder, like, should I even trust those nature documentaries I love so much?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's not about distrusting everything.
But being more aware, right?
Exactly. Having that critical eye, asking yourself,
Who's doing the presenting here?
what's their angle? What are they choosing to show? And what are they leaving OUT?
Okay, so let's say this reality eye is being constructed.
Which, to be clear, the paper argues very strongly that it eyes.
Right.
It's not just a reflection. It's part of the process of shaping how we see the world.
Okay, so if meaning isn't fixed, then whose meaning wins?
That's where we get into this idea of hegemony.
Hegemony. There's another one for you.
It's a mouthful, but it basically means whose ideas hold sway.
Whose ideas are dominant in society? Exactly. And the paper talks about this class struggle in language.
Okay, break that down for me.
It means even a simple word
Just one word.
can be used to serve completely different agendas.
Give me an example.
Think about the word black.
Okay.
For centuries,
Yeah.
used in a derogatory way.
Right, negative stereotypes, all that.
And then along comes the Black Power movement.
Okay.
They reclaim that word,
Powerful.
turn it into a statement of pride.
Black is beautiful.
Exactly. Same word, totally different meaning.
So it's about who gets to define the terms.
Exactly. It's not about censorship. It's subtler.
It's about whose story gets heard.
Whose story becomes the dominant narrative.
The one we all accept as, common sense.
Exactly. Even if it's serving a particular group's interests.
Man, it's almost like whoever controls the narrative, they control reality itself.
In a way, yes.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It can be. But knowledge is power, right?
So understanding all this, that's the first step.
Absolutely. Recognizing that we're not just passive viewers.
We're participants in this construction of reality.
We're constantly being influenced.
By these messages all around us.
And that's why this paper, it's so important.
It's not just theory, it's about our lives.
Exactly. It's about empowering us to be more critical.
To see through the smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. To become more discerning consumers of all this information.
Okay, so we've talked about how this reality is constructed.
How some narratives become dominant.
And how language itself can be this tool of power.
Right, right.
But the big question is,
Get me with it.
what do we do about it? So we've covered a lot of ground
We
here.
really have.
This idea of media constructing reality.
Not just reflecting it, but actually shaping it.
Right. And how certain narratives, they become dominant.
They become the story we tell ourselves about the world.
Exactly. And we've talked about how language itself
Even the words we use.
should be used as this tool, this instrument of power.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is. But I keep coming back to this question.
Yeah.
Knowing all this, what do we do with this knowledge?
That's the challenge the paper leaves us with, right?
Okay.
If media isn't this neutral force,
And we've pretty much established that it's not.
right, if it's actually helping to manufacture our consent,
Whoa, manufacture our consent. That's a powerful way to put it.
It's about recognizing the power dynamics at play.
Okay, so then we have a responsibility, don't we?
To be more than just passive consumers of information.
To be, what, more discerning?
Exactly. More critical, more questioning.
So it's not enough to just like read a headline or watch a quick clip and think we've got it all figured out.
Exactly. We've got to go deeper.
Dig below the surface.
Question those underlying assumptions.
Because everything's framed in a certain way, right?
Exactly. Every media message, from a news report to a tweet, it's all the result of choices.
Choices about what to present, how to present it.
And what to leave OUT, which is just as important.
It's like that saying, isn't it? The truth is somewhere in the editing room.
Exactly. And once you start noticing these things,
It's like you can't unsee them.
like Neo in the Matrix,
Yes, exactly what I was thinking.
he sees the code, and suddenly the world is never the same.
Right. It's not about distrusting everything,
But about having that critical lens.
asking ourselves those tough questions.
Whose story is being told here? Whose voices are being silenced?
What's being presented as fact when it might be just one interpretation of a much more complex reality?
All excellent questions to ask.
So we've been given this incredible gift, haven't we?
A gift.
This deep dive, this knowledge, it's like a decoder
I
ring.
like that. A decoder ring for the information age.
It helps us see through the matrix of media messages all around us.
And once you see it, you can start to break free.
So to everyone listening out there, keep those critical thinking caps on.
Stay curious, stay engaged.
Never stop questioning. And remember...
There's always more to the story.
Exactly. Until next time, happy decoding, everyone.